The whole of the F1's grid was sent into a frenzy with the recent revelation made by Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner. He mentioned that Mercedes star driver Lewis Hamilton had reached out to him before renewing his contract. And no, it wasn't a regular chit-chat, it was to discuss business. It was so hard to believe, especially due to the intense rivalry between Max Verstappen and Hamilton. But the team principal insisted that Hamilton had hoped to get a slot with the winning team. However, Hamilton has debunked the claims and the story is now taking a new turn. So what exactly happened between the Red Bull's team principal and Mercedes star driver? Stick around to find out. Lewis Hamilton joined the Mercedes team in 2013, and it was a match made in heaven. His first 8 years with the team saw him dominating the grid and winning championship titles. It was a very good time for both the driver and the team, but everything changed in 2021. When Verstappen snatched the championship title by a slight margin. Hamilton was crushed, as it was supposed to be his 8th championship title, which would surpass Michael Schumacher's previous record of 7 championship titles. But he hoped for the next year to give him the win he desired. However, things went completely wrong. It started with the 2022 car having countless problems, from bouncing around the track to the car being very difficult to drive. 4 races into the season, Hamilton knew he wouldn't be winning any championship title that year. But there was nothing he was going to do about it, and he hoped everything would be sorted by the next season. Since the issues with the 2022 car stemmed from the introduction of new aerodynamic rules, everyone including Hamilton believed Mercedes would return to their competitive ways by 2023. In fact, there was a whole raucous discussion about the W14 before it got to Bahrain. But on getting there, both drivers and fans were met with disappointment. And as for Hamilton, he knew it would be tough for him to win a title without a very competitive car like Red Bull. But he was ready to put in his best. Unfortunately, his best barely amounted to anything on the driver's standings. Coincidentally, these losses started at a time when his contract with Mercedes was coming to an end. And there were speculations that he would be hoping to join another time. Although Hamilton didn't make any revelations regarding that, his actions towards the end of the season, the period the contract would end, intensified the rumours. By the middle of the season, drivers who were going to renew their deals were already signing contracts and shaking hands. But Hamilton did nothing. Even when his teammate George Russell gladly signed another 2-year contract, he still said nothing. That was suspicious. But when the rumours got to Toto Wolff, he said Hamilton was just taking his time, and there was no need for anyone to worry or pressure the driver. As for contraction discussions, we have a full year to go. We are so aligned in the last 10 years, our relationship has grown. It's just a matter of him physically being back in Europe, sticking our heads together, wrestling a bit, and then leaving the room with white smoke after a few hours. Indeed, just a while later, it was announced that Hamilton had signed another 2-year contract deal. Fans were happy, his teammates could finally breathe a sigh of relief, and the whole thing was forgotten. But the Red Bull team principal said, not so fast, and stirred up the whole grid with a shocking revelation. Christian Horner had nothing to say when the rumours were going around that Hamilton was either looking to quit F1 altogether or search for other options. But suddenly he had so many details about what might have been the reason behind Hamilton's delay. In a recent interview with the Daily Mail, the Red Bull team principal shared that Hamilton had indeed searched for other options. He said the 7-time champion had gotten so frustrated by the constant loss in the team and his inability to win at least a Grand Prix in the past 2 seasons. So when Ferrari called with a juicy $49 million offer, he had to weigh his options. Horner had said he met John Elkann, Ferrari chairman, too. I think there were serious talks. It was around Monaco in May. There were definitely conversations, perhaps with Elkann. According to Horner's revelations, the Ferrari talks had fallen through for some unknown reasons, and that's when Hamilton decided to take the bold step of approaching Red Bull for a seat. Absurd as it might seem, Horner shared that Hamilton was so desperate to get a seat in a competitive car in subsequent seasons that he swallowed his pride and asked his team arch-rival to make room for him. The Red Bull team principal shared that when the British driver reached out to them, they had almost considered it because a team with both Verstappen and Hamilton would be incredible. However, they had to say no because the 2 drivers wouldn't be able to work together due to their intense rivalry. We have had several conversations over the years about Lewis joining. They have reached out a few times. Most recently, earlier in the year, there was an inquiry about whether there would be any interest. But I can't see Max and Lewis working out together. The dynamic wouldn't be right. We are 100% happy with what we have. Horner's statements were very easy to believe, especially due to the unimpressive state of Mercedes. And fans and members of the grid had bashed Hamilton for his disloyalty. But a while later, the actual truth came to light. During the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend, the assembled media decided to hear the truth from the horse's mouth. So they questioned Hamilton about Horner's revelations. The 7-time world champion shared that he nor his representatives contacted Horner as he claimed. He said the team principal just wanted to stir things up on the grid by making those false claims. However, he added that the Red Bull team had actually tried to reach out to him, but their messages had gotten lost in the hundreds of messages he had received on his old phone. I checked with everyone on the team and no one has spoken to them. But they have tried to reach out to us. I picked up my old phone, which I just found at home, that had my old number, and I switched it on, and obviously hundreds of messages came through. And I realised there was one from Christian, saying to get together and have a chat at the end of the season. The Mercedes driver also mentioned that his only response to that message was congratulations on an amazing season, and I hope we're able to compete with you soon. And Christian had responded with a repetition of his request. The grid was not surprised that Hamilton debunked the claims because no one wants to be tagged as the bad guy. But imagine the surprise they got when Christian Horner returned to share that he hadn't gotten his facts straight when he made the earlier claims. The Red Bull team principal shared that he had indeed gotten a call from Hamilton, but not Lewis Hamilton, his father, Anthony Hamilton. The father had reached out to him without his son's knowledge with the hope that he was doing the best for him. Anthony Hamilton stopped being Lewis's manager in 2010, long before he joined Mercedes. So the call was not exactly on behalf of Lewis. Besides the alleged call made by Anthony, Horner affirmed that he never got in talks with Lewis himself. I mean, it's a question of he said, she said, who said, what said. It's entirely normal for drivers as representatives and drivers as parents to have different conversations during the year. But there was never any engagement, and I don't know who represents who or what, but with the same surname, you would think they were reasonably close. It's difficult to say, but other than pleasantries, there was no specific, "Can I drive for Red Bull next year?" What exactly was Horner's motive for making such a false claim? Was he actually in search of a little drama on the grid? Or was he conducting a mini survey of what fans would think of a collaboration between Verstappen and Hamilton? But whatever his motive was, nothing can justify his actions, especially due to the rate at which Hamilton's name was dragged through the mud. So what do you think? Would you have liked a team with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton as teammates? Kindly let us know in the comments section. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.